Well, Kirralie Smith is a New South Wales mum who believes that gender is a fixed biological reality. Yet that belief has this week seen her ordered to pay $95,000 in damages to two trans soccer players after she lost a case against them in the local court of New South Wales.
Kirralie has been found guilty of unlawfully vilifying the biological males who identify as women and compete in a women's competition.
And we're pleased to say Kirralie joins us now live. Good to see you. Welcome back to the show. Thanks, Kirralie. Look, you've also been ordered to publish a correction. Take us through the court's decision.
Look, we are going to appeal this decision, so I obviously can't go into too many details. But I will say I took information from the public domain that football associations themselves posted in the public domain. I reshared them and asked what I and many other Australians think are reasonable questions, which is simply why are men playing in women's sport and what's the point of having male and female competition. So through a whole series of events, I have been found guilty and I've been ordered to pay those damages and to publish a statement that they have written on my social media pages, on my website, that names the players and makes a confession, I guess, that I've been found guilty of vilification. But one of the other orders states that I'm not to name them. So it's really confusing. I don't know what's what in that decision. And as I said, there's many points of contention in the judgment that we will be appealing.
A $95,000 fine is just extraordinary. What precedent does this set for anyone who's accused of misgendering someone in this country?
Look, it's quite alarming, James, because this will have great impact for people in journalism, politicians who aren't protected by parliamentary privilege when they're in Parliament, and any political advocate. I'm a registered third-party political campaigner. We exist to campaign on this issue and to challenge public policy where we know that in Australia at the moment, the laws are so ridiculous. They've erased women. They say that men can be women. And if I can't actually report on this, reveal what's happening, you know, as we've seen what's happened overseas with people like Leah Thomas or Laurel Hubbard or, you know, Imam Khalif punching women in the head and calling it sport, you know, we use examples of what men are doing in female sport to highlight the issue, but we're not allowed to do that in Australia because you'll be fined $95,000 or, you know, you'll have $95,000 in damages against you and you'll have to agree to other terms that are quite frankly unacceptable.
I mean, it's also just an assault on free speech in this country. We're just so far behind the rest of the world, can't say anything because, you know, you're an example. You could get fined more than $90,000. So we look forward to following your appeal process, Kirralie. I want to talk to you about the trans lobby group ACON and the influence across the country. The Australian is reporting that it gets $20 million in taxpayer funding and has effectively co-opted every arm of the state, from classrooms to courtrooms, to enforce its belief that self-determined gender trumps biological sex. This quote baffled me. It says hundreds of businesses and government agencies now compete in ACON's Australian Workplace Equality Index, with points on offer for everything from cupcake days and gender-neutral bathrooms to paid leave for staff to, quote, manage their gender affirmation. Kirralie, how did ACON get so powerful and how has it been allowed to infiltrate organisations like this?
Look, it's unbelievable, Danica. We, as a Binary, we reported on this in November 2021. We listed many of the government agencies and sports organisations that have signed up to this. ACON started as the AIDS Council in New South Wales through the, you know, really terrible time when AIDS was claiming so many lives, but it has morphed into basically a transgender activist organisation that is co-opting all of these particularly public service organisations, banks, you know, so many really powerful companies in Australia sign up, get points, get awards, you know, all for who can basically tell the most lies and say that men are actually women or women can be men and we're going to make as many concessions as possible. And they fall over themselves to enforce this really incorrect version of reality onto the rest of us.
And the influence they have, as Danica pointed out, is just extraordinary. Speaking of influence and extraordinary, Australia's Sex Discrimination Commissioner. She appears again to be struggling with defining the first word in her title, that is, what is sex. In October, Anna Cody said she didn't know what a biological man was because she wasn't a scientist. Well, last week in Senate Estimates, she was asked the same question. Here's her response.
Senator, I'm not a medical expert. I'm a human rights advocate. As I've just said, I advocate for gender equality and for the rights of LGBTQI+ people. That's my role under the Sex Discrimination Act.
So she can't say what a biological man or woman is because she's not only not a scientist, she's not even a medical professional and therefore does not know.
Protect women, to protect females, because there are many disadvantages because of our physiology. And in 2013, Julia Gillard and her government, one of their last acts was to remove the definitions of male and female from the Sex Discrimination Act, leaving us basically vulnerable, now facing erasure. Her role is not to advocate for LGBT+ identified people. It is for males and females. That's what sex is. And for someone who's being paid more than $400,000 a year to not be able to define their own portfolio is a slap in the face to all taxpayers. It's just making a mockery of the whole system. And she really needs to resign, and this needs to be cleaned up quick smart.
Yeah, but she's not a medical expert nor a scientist. What a fantastic excuse. Wouldn't you love to use that all the time? Kirralie Smith, great to have you on the show. Thanks very much for joining us this evening.
Thanks for having me.